Hey there, everybody. Welcome to our afternoon edition of Big Brother 22 All-Stars live feed spoilers. In this video, we're going to talk about a number of different things. If you want to hear more about like the campaign moves last night and how we got to where we are right now with Keisha likely going, you can check out our video from this morning. The link is in the description. But here, we'll talk about a couple of things from the feeds, but in particular, a comment Janelle made last night suggesting that even if she goes at some point over the next couple weeks, she would still be there until mid-September. Does that mean a battle back is happening? We'll break a lot of it. Yeah, we'll break a lot of it down. We'll give you some of our takes on it. We'll speculate about who could win the next HoH. Before we do, if you like this video, give us a like, subscribe, hit that notification bell, and you can support us further by checking those links in the description to the store and our Patreon, where we do live chats at the end of every month.
So let's get into this battle back speculation, because right now, even with what Janelle said, it is still speculation. She's not actually confirming that it's a battle back, because there are other things that are in play right now about why they would keep people after they've been eliminated. A battle back isn't the only reason, especially with everything that is going on with the health crisis right now. And so we just kind of wanted to go over some of the other things that it could be.
And I think it's important to sort of note here first and foremost that I think we're both probably in agreement that we would like to see some sort of battle back.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Yeah, I think those things can always be fun as long as they're not overused, and I wouldn't think that this would be overusing it this early in the game. But Big Brother, they have kept people before after they were evicted, and they ended up not doing anything with them at all.
Absolutely. And it may be a situation where this is All-Stars, and there is a lot of really big names in this season. And if they lose like some big, huge names, big players like the Janelles of the season or Danny or somebody like that, then they might be like, oh, okay, we're gonna pull the chute on this. We're gonna have a battle back or something that we can get one of those players back in the game. But they don't want to end up having some sort of situation where all the big players go out. Almost like what happened over on Survivor Winners at War, where they put them all over the edge of extinction and then there was a battle back to get back in. That is a possibility. However, it's also, if we lose a lot of people at the beginning, like a David, you know, Keisha hasn't been playing really that hard and she goes out, people that aren't as big as someone like a Janelle, then they might be like, you know what, we're not going to do a battle back.
Let me put on a tinfoil hat here for a second.
Let's have it.
All right, so Allison Grodner, I do not feel would ever admit to this, but I feel like there is a certain amount of flexibility that they have behind the scenes for certain variables, and I think that they would be kind of flexible here, where if they don't lose anybody too big, maybe you don't have a battle back pre-jury, maybe you do one after the jury, maybe you just set yourself up, because we went through a lot of this last season. Like, I remember on Big Brother 21, there was all this talk about, oh, for sure, they're doing a battle back. They're bringing somebody else back, even after camp come back, because the end of that season dragged so slow, and they still didn't do one. So, you know, we don't always know what production's gonna do, but I think production, they give themselves some leeway so they can figure it out over time.
Okay, so there's also the possibility that they are holding on to people because of the health crisis. Now, we know that everyone has gone into the house. They had their quarantine. They were all tested. They're still being tested. It's all good so far. But, knock on wood, what if something happens where a crew member, you know, something happens to them and they bring it in, building something, and then somebody gets it and has to leave. This is an insurance policy that then if that person has to leave, they can bring somebody back. This is a very weird time in life in general, and it is also making it a weird time for Big Brother. So the idea that Janelle was told, yeah, we're going to hold you at least until mid-September, that's my actual first thought of why they're doing it. A battle back is my second thought about it. It's just they need an insurance that if something happens to somebody in the cast, that the whole season doesn't have to necessarily be over, that they are able to make the switch.
Yeah, there's so many interesting different variables that are in here as well, because there's the idea of convenience, right? Where if they want to do a pre-jury battle back, I've thought a lot about this. Would they do a sort of camp comeback scenario? I've seen some of you talk about this in the comments, where if they just leave everyone in the house, that does save them probably a lot of logistical challenges, having to go and quarantine someone somewhere else and have someone bring them stuff and all of that. It could be easier, but if they do that, they're kind of committing to the twist right now. And do they want to commit to the twist when Keisha, who hasn't done much, is potentially going to be their first boot?
The other possibility is that Janelle and some of the other people, or maybe everyone, was told that they will be held until mid-September, sort of, at least. Because it's possible that they're going to do what they did with Survivors. This is the same network. They are having an All-Stars. They may not want anyone to leave. And that they may be looking to see if they can do an entire jury of the whole house, that whoever the winner is going to be judged by all of their peers that were in the house with them.
Once again, it is a way to kind of keep people into the idea of the season, right? Because if Janelle does go early, and I'm mostly just using Janelle as an example a lot because she's not in a great position, enormously popular, but if they do want to ensure Janelle is still a part of this, it does make a whole lot of sense from a production standpoint. I think from a Janelle standpoint, if I was eliminated in second and I was told that I have to stick around for months on end to be a jury when I just want to go back to my kids and my family, I would be like tearing down the walls, like doing whatever I could to run away.
Yeah, but I mean, if you know that you could win, you got to balance that out. Are you willing to do it or not? And, we saw lots of people on Survivor, except for Sandra, all stay over on Edge of Extinction for that chance to get back in. Yeah. But they also knew that they were all going to be part of the jury at that point. This might be something that they're playing around with. Now, we're not here to just... Well, I'm always here to pour cold water all over everything, but I just had seen some of the comments out there sort of wondering if this is confirmed or not by what she said, and I just wanted to come on with Matt and say it is not confirmed. Looking good, looking okay, but I mean, it could be other things. It could be the health crisis. It could be something to do with jury. It could be just an insurance policy if something happens. It could be a lot of stuff.
I think we all kind of know at this point what we hope that it is. And, fingers crossed they do have a chance to make that happen. The only real variable that kind of makes this confusing to me is that, this is according to people in the house, it's supposed to be an 85-day season. Now, it's possible that production has the right to be flexible with some of this because a lot of CBS's shows haven't started filming yet, other than like SWAT, and I know they have The Amazing Race banked and some MacGyver's banked or whatever else. So I think it's theoretically possible that they could be like, okay, NCIS isn't able to film yet. We don't have all of our other shows in production. Can we extend the season to 92 days? Can we make it even longer than that? And if that's the case, I think it's more likely. But if we only have 85 days, it's going to be hard for them to do a lot of battle back twists or whatever. And then also they would have to do probably multiple double evictions, which, hot take alert here, I'm not the biggest double eviction fan, and that's not a different rabbit hole we don't need to go down. I'm only okay with just one of them really a season.
Yeah, and with it being only 85 days, it doesn't make sense to have a battle back with all the double evictions and everything else that they're going to want to have. I'm not sure how they would do it.
It's gonna be. If only we could be a fly in the wall, not in the house, but in like the production office to kind of get a sense as to how they are handling all of this. But it's fun stuff to talk about right now. It's certainly probably more dynamic than what Keisha is currently doing to campaign, which isn't much.
No, it isn't.
So let's get into though the HoH speculation of it all, because this is probably, and I know we are going to be hyperbolic and be like, this is the most important HoH of the season, and I'm sure we will do that like 9 more times before the season ends.
It kind of is, though. I mean, we were talking about this morning when we were out getting Starbucks, that if normally these seasons are starting to get a little bit predictable, where there's a really big, strong sort of bro alliance that have all these Codys and Tylers all part of it, and they just kind of switch back and forth the first few weeks, and they just dwindle out the other side of the house of all the awkward potatoes and oddballs.
Yeah.
And then by the time it's like 3 or 4 weeks in, one of them actually gets to win, and they're able to take out one person, and then it just goes back to this again. Like, they just never really have a chance. This HOH is one of the most important ones of the season, because if this other side of the house can actually win it, this game can start to even out.
It is going to be incredibly important, I think, that we have someone outside of that group, that big kind of dominant group win, because otherwise there is a legitimate fear in my head that we're going to be sort of left down the road with the group that is sort of Nicole F and Cody and Tyler and Danny and like all of the predictable people, because you've got players like Nicole A and Kevin who seem to be sort of oscillating more towards them than going over and trying to be with Janelle and KAYSAR. And some of that is Janelle and KAYSAR's own fault, but still, we need to see some parity in this house. It needs to be competitive and interesting.
Yeah, it's very interesting that Kevin and Nicole A want to join up with that group anyways. It happens every season where we see this. It happened with Ovi as well, where it's sort of there's the awkward potatoes, and they're just like, man, I want to be part of the cool kids and part of the popular alliance, when there's so many other people still on the other side of the house that can just band together and take care of this and squash that.
I'm going to talk here about, like, what if Janelle or KAYSAR win, because I know that's probably one of the more interesting hypotheticals. I'm going to go out on a limb and say I don't think they're going to win the next HOH. I will give my prediction in a minute, but if they do this, KAYSAR this morning, prepare yourselves accordingly, he suggested that he wouldn't necessarily want to target all of the big players, but someone like David could end up being a target. David, I know KAYSAR may think, oh, maybe I'm splitting up these bros that are out there or anything else. We can work at Cody. Like, getting rid of David accomplishes nothing at all.
David is a little bit aligned with that side of the house, but he's not really aligned with anybody right now. I still think of David as mostly a free agent. So, I mean, it's not the best move. It really isn't. There are other bigger fish to fry. I just get the feeling that everybody but Janelle is trying to be part of this other side of the house, that even though they know they need to stop that, everybody's trying to be part of the pod.
It really is, like, it is very high schoolish, where everybody wants to be a part of the cool kids, except you have, like, that one, like, confident nerd who's just like, I don't need the cool kids. I'm going to sit over here in my star costume, and I'm going to be okay. But it's a tough debate, really, because it is sort of a, what am I going to do if I get into power? And you don't want to end up, like, putting yourself into a big, dangerous spot moving forward. But Janelle and KAYSAR, they're always going to be in a dangerous spot.
Yeah, and Janelle is saying if she wins, she just wants to kind of stay quiet so that she can sort of scare people a little bit into playing for safety and wasting their safety, which is so smart. It's like flushing out the idol. You need to get that going. Make sure everybody blows their safeties right away. It's such a good idea.
I love that. Like, I may not love a lot of Janelle's strategic ideas this season so far, but I love this idea of, okay, if I can get like 9 or 10 people potentially to all play in this HOH cycle, it's going to make life a little bit easier moving forward. I think that's smart. I think that's interesting. It's too bad that Janelle and KAYSAR are going to be so much on the outs. I mean, we have talked, though, about Nicole F being kind of worried of getting rid of them so far because she thinks that there is a chance somebody could come back into the game.
Yeah. So who do we think is actually going to win this HOH?
Here's the thing about this, as I try to look pensive. Okay, so we don't know what kind of HOH it is. Usually they don't do endurance this early. Usually it's a couple of HOHs down the road. So I'm going to assume, possibly incorrectly, that this is not going to be an endurance competition. We kind of saw something just weird and random already. It's they haven't given them like anything to study as far as we know. I don't think it's going to be questions. I think it's going to be a crapshoot, honestly.
Yeah, I'm thinking it's probably going to be something like throw the beanbag or throw the dart or something that's kind of like that.
I'm going to go out and I'm going to say Danny wins this HOH just because she's good in competitions. It's not a bad one for someone like her to win because she can sort of solidify further her allegiances with people like NICOLE and Cody and sort of the dominant group, and she can take out somebody who is sort of on their radar. And it's not always good to win HOH, I don't think, when you burn people, but if you can use it to sort of solidify the people that you're with, it's like, I think Derek, when he won HOH the first time, he took out Devin, which everyone wanted to do.
Yeah.
So it can be smart to win HOH early on. Who you got?
I'm between two people. I've been stuck that it's probably going to be Tyler, and I think a lot of it is because of what I said a bit earlier in the video. I've been conditioned now to watch this show that has now become pretty formulaic in having this big alliance go back and forth for a couple weeks, and then the awkward potato side wins one and they can take out one person and then they just get smoked out. So originally that's what I was thinking. I'm still kind of leaning into that, but Janelle wins a lot. So the idea that she could win this feels very strong. She is motivated. She wins a lot. She's very good at competitions. Like, she needs it and she knows it. So I think as long as it's something that's a little more skill-based and not just luck kind of thing, like if it's not throw the beanbag and good luck to you, I think she's got a good shot at it.
I'm gonna pull out the fan fiction pin here for a second here, because
wow,
this is my new dream sort of story I want to write here, is that your idea of Janelle winning this HOH comes true. And then NICOLE and Kevin and like that sort of underdog group have some conversations with them, and they all realize that, oh, Janelle is actually not with some big dominant alliance at the other side of the house, and then they legitimately team up, and then Janelle feels like she can take a real shot and have backup, because that's the problem right now. She might not feel like she has any backup.
I think it'll be a good way for her to build some backup, and I think that those conversations with Janelle just need to start happening, and the only way it's going to happen is if she wins HOH. She's just not going to really be able to pull anybody's ear unless she's in power.
All right, let us cross our fingers. Let us hope for the best tonight. We need fun, but for now, let us know your predictions for Battleback Twist. Do you think we're going to have one? Who do you think is going to be our next HOH? Share in the comments, and yeah, give us a like, subscribe, and if you want to support us further, check those links in the description to the store, to our Patreon, and we'll see you here next time.